What's up? This is Z from Simple Baduk, and today we're gonna talk about a serious topic. When you're playing Go, if you find yourself don't know what to do during the Fuseki, which is the early game, because the board is too wide and there are simply too many options, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to try to use the simplest examples to explain the principles of Fuseki. If you're a DDK player, which is double digit Q player, then by understanding the principles of Fuseki, you should be able to become a SDK player in the next few days. If you're an SDK player who wants to become a Dan player, then having a solid foundation and understandings of the principles of Fuseki will help you to get one step closer to a Dan player. Before we get in any deeper into this topic, I would like to mention that AIs and professional players are able to ignore the basics of Go because they have the ability to find the moves that are better than the basic moves. Sadly, as amateur players, we don't have that ability. But as long as we strictly follow the basics of Go, although we're not going to play the greatest moves, we're also not going to play terrible moves. There's nothing shameful about being a basic player because I will always rather be a basic Dan player than a fabulous Q player. As you get better, you'll start to see the moments when you want to ignore the basics because you see better moves than the basic moves. Well, that's a long introduction and let's get into the real stuff. First, we have to understand the goals of black players and white players. If you don't have a clear goal in your mind, then it's going to be very easy for you to make directional mistakes or simply have no idea what to do during the early game. In a game, the black player's goal is to build a moyo, which is a framework. And the first step of forming a great moyo is to get something called double wing. You have one stone on the corner and you have two other stones on two sides of that corner. Once you have a moyo or a double wing, your opponent is going to want to destroy your potential with an invasion. Your next goal is to attack that invading stone to get profits. Capturing your opponent's stone isn't your goal because you need at least 3 mistakes from your opponent in order to capture those stones. Just be satisfied with the profits you gain by bullying your opponent. By trying to forcefully capture the stones, you're very likely to overplay and get counter-punched. As the white player, the priority is to prevent the black player from forming a double wing and moyo. If you see any chance of forming a double wing or even a moyo for yourself, then go for it. White players get komi, which is 6.5 or 7.5 compensation points, because it's much easier for black players to form a moyo. But if you're enjoying your komi and also get to form a moyo, then you basically already won the game. Of course, professional players don't follow these rules because the invasion and reduction techniques have developed so much after AI that they rarely play moyo games nowadays. But most amateur players are going to feel a ton of stress if they see their opponents develop great moyos. And if they invade, they're probably going to either die or give away too much profit while trying to live. The key to winning as amateur players is to get a sick moyo. Now that we know our goals, let's get into how to actually play the early games. There are only 5 principles that you have to remember. Principle number 1. Always try to achieve your goal before anything else. As black, whenever you see a chance of forming a double wing, which is playing a stone over here, then go for it. If white plays here, then it's safer to defend first. White owes you a move over here, so white is going to probably play something like this or go into a corner. But whatever he does, go for the double wing, like this. As white, whenever you see your opponent trying to form a double wing, interrupt it. By playing over here, you can interrupt the double wing. If you play here, you saw the result before. If you approach from this side, black can pincer you and form a double wing while applying pressure on this stone. So the safest bet is to play here. Principle number 2. Play from or toward your own stones. When we have an empty board like this, there might be a question, such as, the board is so big, I have so many options, where should I play? According to our principle number 2, play from or toward our stones, which means we have to play from these two stones. We can play something over here. If we play here, it's playing from and toward our own stone. It is a kind of Fuseki too. It's a 3-star opener. But let's try the most basic opener, which is approaching the corner. We don't want to approach from here because this stone is lonely in our opponent's area. So we approach from our own stone. White's response, the safest one, is to play toward our own stone. And now it's Black's turn. Black could go into this corner, but according to our principle, play from and toward our own stone. Principle number 3. If you cannot play from or toward your own stones, then just play the widest area first. Do you remember the principle number 2? According to principle number 2, I should play something over here because this stone is playing from White's own stone. But if you see, after a few moves, Black gets to form a moyo over here. So this is not ideal for White. Always remember the principle number 1 when you're playing, which is always try to achieve your goal. For White, the goal is to prevent the Black from forming a double wing or a moyo. If White wants to prevent the double wing, then White should play something over here or here. Let's try this one. If we play here, then Black gets to pincer you, applying pressure on this stone, and also gets to form a double wing. I see a lot of Kyu players trying to play moves over here, thinking this side is too big. But playing here goes against principle number 3, which is always play the widest area first. We have this choice and this choice left. Then play the widest area. This side we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, and this we have 11 over here. So according to principle number 3, you should play over here. Principle number 4. Don't get locked inside the corner or on the side. In the earlier clip, we saw White should play over here. But what if Black pincers you over here? According to principle number 4, getting locked inside a corner during the Fuseki is one of the worst things that can happen to your stones, beside from getting captured. So if you 3-3 him, of course, he's not going to block from this side because you are leaking into his potential. So Black, of course, is going to block from here. And after the Joseki ends, let's use the most classic Joseki here. Black gets to lock White inside the corner. This way, Black has this potential, and this is also slowly turning into Black's potential over here. And this stone over here is going to be extremely useful if any fight happens over here. On the other hand, although these white stones got some territory on the corner, but since they are locked inside the corner, if any fight happens over here, these stones cannot help out their brothers out there. So getting locked inside a corner during the Fuseki is extremely bad. Principle number 5. Always play widely on your own side of the board and play safely in your opponent's area. In the beginning of the game, unless we play something like this, we usually have 2 stones on the same side, regardless of if they're on the start point or somok. Whatever there are, they're going to be on the same side of the board. And this side, we consider it as Black's side. And this side, we consider as White's side, because we have black stones over here and white stones over here. And these 2 sides, we consider them as public area of the board. When you are playing in your opponent's area, let's say you played here, And when your opponent approaches you like this, you don't really want to play these risky moves. If you play risky moves like this and you don't know how to deal with these invasions, then you have to fight in your opponent's area. At this moment, it's 2 versus 3. So it is going to not be a favorable fight for you. On the other hand, if you are playing in your own area, you want to play as widely and as openly as possible. You see, we formed a huge moyo kind of thing over here. If your opponent invades this area, of course, it's going to get destroyed. But while attacking this white stone over here, you can see first, you can get some territory up over there. And you are also strengthening this, so you can grow this as another moyo. At this point, you see you got territory over there and loose moyo over here. With another move, you can play something like this and you formed a double wing. Let's take a look at quick and basic game to get a better understanding of these principles. This is going to be an extremely basic game that strictly follows the principles, just so you can get a better understanding of these principles. Blackstone, principle number 2, always play from or toward your own stones. The easiest way for you to form a moyo is to play 3-star opener or Chinese opener, low Chinese, high Chinese, or even a Kobayashi. But today, let's look at a basic game. Approach from your stone. So from here, over here. And also, white, play toward your own stone. Over here. In order for black to form a moyo, black needs 2 stones over here. So let's take this spot for now. See, I didn't go in here because this way it's difficult for black to form a moyo, playing from and toward its own stones. White, following principle number 2, white should play here. But you see, black can answer over here. If white plays here, black instantly forms a double wing. If white invades, white is going to get attacked. If white also forms a double wing, then black is going to get a complete moyo like this. And it's going to be an extremely difficult game for white. If white follows principle number 3, white should play the widest area, which is somewhere over here. But if white plays here, black is going to pincer to form a double wing, but also apply pressure on this stone. So this game is not good for white too. Then we only have one place left, which is this one. I see a lot of Q players playing something over here thinking this side is too big, so you have to destroy this potential. But it's actually not that big. Trust me and just play over here. If black pincers, hoping white would 3-3 him and lock white inside the corner, then white can simply approach from another side to destroy this potential over here. If you want to know the Fuseki on this one, then I will explain in another video. But in short, it kind of looks like this. Black attaches, white hane, black cuts, white attaches here. At this point, black cannot hane over here. If you want to see the result, you can try this variation on your own. Black has to play over here, and white goes into the corner. If black wants to grow that side, since this side is already destroyed, then black kind of has to play this move. And white can play here black can defend or tenuki from here. This is a joseki on its own. If you want to learn the variations on this joseki, then I have another video specifically for this joseki. So when white plays here, black pinstering is going to be a whole different game. The safest and the simplest response will be playing something over here. As white, remember the principle number 5. Play widely in your own area, but play as safely as possible in your opponent's area. So 2-space jump is efficient. Now it's black's turn. The focus of our next move is going to be that stone. We can play from this stone to here or here. I see a lot of Q players like to play moves like this, thinking he is applying pressure on these 2 stones. But as soon as white slides in, this group is pretty much alive. Even if white jumps, this group is alive. And this stone all of a sudden becomes an extremely awkward stone. Do you save it or do you let it go? That's your decision. But always remember principle number 3. Play the widest area possible, which is approaching this corner. Pinstering works too, but the simplest answer is here. Just defend your corner and black has to pull back. Now you see with another move, something like this, black is going to form a double wing up there. But since it's white's turn, white stones playing from its own stones approach this corner. Black answers and white can pull back. If white's gonna play this move, white can do this exchange first. And that is one of the most basic Fuseki ever. Now that's it for today's video. This is Principles of Fuseki 1. I also have a series of videos on my YouTube channel or on my website. So if you're interested, please check the link down below and see you next time.